we go. It's time to go temple building from the inside out. Many of us know that physical and mental health. Here we go. It's time to go temple building from the inside out. Many of us know that physical and mental health play a direct part in spiritual health, but we may not know how to bring it all together. Well, here's your host, Desiree Fletcher Carruthers, as we go temple building from the inside out.
Hey everyone, welcome to Temple Building from the Inside Out on KPOG, Power of God 102.9. I'm your host, Desiree Fletcher Carruthers. Today is Monday, October 1st, and I just want to say thank you for joining me. You know, everybody has a lot of choices on how they can spend their time, and if you're spending it with me, I really appreciate that. It's an investment in you as well. So I hope throughout this whole experience that we're in together that you do find value in some of the things that I am sharing with you, and that you'll in turn share that with others. If you're listening in via Facebook Live, please feel free to comment and send me your questions. If it's easier for you to tune in to 102.9 directly, but maybe having trouble getting a clear signal, check out the TuneIn or KPOG apps for your smartphone, and that'll help you out. And so the app TuneIn, it's just that. It's TuneIn, TuneIn. So take a look at that, download it, join me every Monday, and we'll see what kind of health and wellness shenanigans that we can get into together. Um, if you were able to join me last week, you were in for a real treat, as I had Melissa Grandin, nutrition specialist from EP True Chiropractic, join me to talk about immune boosting, how to build up your immune system naturally. It is that time of year. The colder weather is upon us, even though this last weekend was absolutely beautiful. I love Indian summer weather, but it's not going to stick around. I believe this week we are headed for the 50s consistently, and the temperature is just going to continue to get colder from there. So we covered a lot of ground during that show about how to keep yourselves healthier when we tend to be in more confined spaces with less sunlight, less fresh air, more stress due to the holidays, and just a bevy of other factors that can impact our health. Um, but in summary, if you weren't able to join us, or just to help jog your memory, Melissa gave us three pretty solid tips to help build your immune system naturally. The first one is to get sleep. Second is don't let yourself get stressed. And the third is to eat the foods that God gave us. And I know some of you are sitting back thinking, well, all of those sound great, easier said than done. But the theme for today's show that we're going to be talking about in a roundabout way is the choice is yours. When you put your foot down and decide to make choices about certain things, those certain things start to happen. And sometimes it's hard, sometimes we can't be 100% consistent with it, but the more that we aim to get better sleep, or try to control our stress levels, or remove stressful items from our lives and make different food choices, the more often that they're going to happen. When you choose to make things happen, things are more likely to happen. So earlier this month, I was doing some reading, and I came across a quote from 1914, no less. So if this thought process was going on in 1914, how amazed would they be to see how true it is even in today's age? And so in this quote that I'm going to share here momentarily, it's regarding God and health. And it really struck me, not only from a spiritual perspective, but because of the way it so succinctly sums up our state of health and wellness in the world today, and from my view, how we've kind of gotten there. Now, I know that's a very simplified statement. I know health and wellness and the things that are going on in our societies today, they're a little more complex than that. There are a lot of factors playing into it, but it really is just a global wake up, I think, for any age. So listen in here and kind of just open up your mind and your heart to what it is saying. And so here it goes. It says, God will not work a miracle to keep those from sickness who have no care for themselves, but are continually violating the laws of health and make no effort to prevent disease. God will not work in a miraculous manner to preserve the health of persons who are taking a sure course to make themselves sick by their careless inattention to the laws of health. And it's really that last sentence that really stuck with me. Careless inattention to the laws of health. And if you've never really thought about it, you might be thinking, well, I'm not careless about my health. But if you're not being intentional about your health, then we, myself included, because I'm by no means perfect, are being careless with our health. It's just like the saying, if you don't plan to succeed, you plan to fail. Whatever it is you choose to do is what the reality is going to be. So by not choosing to do something, you're still choosing. Do you get what I mean on that? I mean, I know you do. And it sounds very simple, but when it comes to most things in life, and health is no different, either you choose to be healthy or you choose not to. And it's really that simple. And it's a lot of little choices that build up before we see the results. But if we really took a step back and stop and look at the choices we make with regard to our health or even our food choices, and if you're honest with yourself, you can see the patterns that have led to maybe some of the health conditions that you might be experiencing. So I know what I'm saying is not new or news to anyone, but I think some of it bears repeating because we're all moving through life so fast. Some of us, all of us, at the speed of light. And we hear things and information either passes through us or passes over us, but it doesn't really resonate and we don't really stop to think about it. So I'm going to share just a few thoughts here on the global state of health. I'm not going to get into a lot of statistics because the numbers don't really matter that much. We all know on a large scale we're sick in the United States for many reasons, but nutrition plays a lot into that. Physical inactivity plays a lot into that. We are sick by choice because of the health decisions that we don't make. And it's probably not popular. Maybe some of you are going to tune out by now. Maybe several of you already have. But I share this because I care, because I know the solution to what ails us at a macro level. We can impact it by everyday choices. We really can. So here we go. The U.S. spends more than any other developed country in the world on its citizens' health care. Certain public health issues, such as the obesity epidemic, which is linked to cardiovascular disease and stroke, cause the nation billions each year. According to the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, or CDC, some of you may be more familiar with, 1 in 3 American adults was obese in 2017, and this is adults, so this is not even talking about children. And conditions continue to worsen in 2018, and personally, I don't expect to see much improvement in 2019. I think we are making strides as a nation, but we need to be doing a lot more. Because also reported in 2018, life expectancy in the U.S. dropped for the 3rd year in a row. Now, I'm not so naive to think that, what you eat is the sole reason of why that's happening. This drop reflects mental health issues, drug use, including prescription drug use. So the opioid crisis is a thing now. Didn't used to be a thing, but now that's a thing. And, that's in addition to physical health, nutrition, all of that kind of stuff. And when you look at mental health and you look at drug use, especially, I'm going to say the opioid use, physical health, your physical well-being plays into both of those factors. So when we talk about temple building from the inside out, it really is about that internal wellness that's in there, the innate health that we were all born with, and how that factors into every aspect of our life. Because your physical health is either impacting mental health or the need for opioids on one level, or it's being impacted by it. So you can't really remove your physical health from that equation. So just some things there for you guys to keep in mind. And I know you're like, oh my gosh, Desiree, this is a downer. This is not what we were tuning in for. We can get bad news on the news any day, and you are so correct. So I do not mean to be a downer at all, at all. My whole goal is to help more people learn to say yes to a life of intentional health. Yes, genetics could play a role in your level of health, but even if you're quote unquote dealt a bad hand of genetics, you can still choose what level of health you are going to have regardless of the hand that's been dealt to you. You can. Even if you've got just what people might say are just bad genetics, it could always be worse. So you can choose to make the best of your situation, whatever that is, or you can choose to just let it continue to snowball and get worse. So again, as I said, today it's all about choice, and just the fact that you have the power to make that choice. It's yours. Now, it might not be easy for some of us. Some of the things that are going to be required, our choices may require more work than it will for other individuals, but you still are in control of your choice. And so that's what we're going to talk about today. Because when it comes down to it, we know when we are doing wrong. We just do. I know when I'm eating wrong, and I know when I've been doing wrong for an extended amount of time. And I also know personally how difficult it can be to turn the tide. So knowing is not enough. Knowing is just not enough, because I know quite a bit, and yet over the past couple years, so if I can take a moment here just to share a little personal story. So I'm married to a fantastic husband who is very health conscious as well. And over the last couple of years, I gained what I will call comfortable weight. My life changed. I was involved in a good number of activities. We have 4 very active children. Somebody is always into something, doing something, needing something. We are involved in our communities, in our respective industries. And so we got into that habit that a lot of us get into, being busy. We were eating out a lot. We were eating whatever it was we wanted to eat. We knew what eating healthy was, but we really weren't watching the margins of what we were putting into our mouths the way that we should be. And I gained that quote unquote comfortable weight. I was pushing, and for my frame, you guys, I know, I get it. But the body shaming, we have heavy people shaming skinny people shaming heavy people. Stop. When I share my story, you can roll your eyes at me if you want to, but the point of the matter is the struggle is real, and I was not living my healthiest life. I was 20 pounds over my base weight. For the majority of my life, I have probably been 140 pounds, give or take 2 or 3 pounds, with the exception of being pregnant. That was my weight. My body liked it. I felt good at that weight. My clothes fit at that weight. And then I find myself at 160 pounds. Oh my gosh. Now, for some people, they might be like, oh my gosh, Desiree, 160 is my weight on a good day. Well, it wasn't a good day for me at that weight on any day. And I knew it. I mean, I wasn't wearing my clothes. My clothes were wearing me. I was doing the, tight pant dance just to get in them. And that was not cool. And I knew better. And I knew how I got there. I just didn't see the progression of my small bad choices, several at a time, over a long period of time, and here I am. And I've gotten to a point now where I finally said enough is enough, and I have brought that weight back down. I'm at a good maintenance weight again, but I didn't like to look at myself in the mirror. I didn't like to be looked at in my clothes. And although I don't think anybody was looking at me saying, oh my gosh, she's ballooned up to 20 pounds, that's just how I felt. So I know what that feels like for some of you who may be out there that have felt the same. And so I'm here to tell you the same things that I told myself, and it's just to knock it off. You have to knock it off. The bad habits, the bad choices. You know it. I know it. I had to stop it. You have to stop it also. We just have to stop. And I know that's not easy. And I know the vast majority of us know the basics of what to do to foster better health. It's not rocket science. We know. We know what it is we need to do. We don't lack knowledge. We don't lack education. We're surrounded by it. It's inundating us all the time. What we lack are the tools to make the results stick. We lack a lifestyle. We want the fad. We want a diet. We want a miracle pill that's going to make it all better. Well, I've got news for you. If there was a miracle pill, we wouldn't be able to buy it at the grocery store because they would want you to pay, hundreds of thousands of dollars for it, because people would be so desperate for it that they would pay anything for it. It would be a money maker. You wouldn't be able to buy the miracle pill at Walgreens, at Walmart, at Hy-Vee, wherever you go, CVS, or buy it online and get an extra bottle for free if you buy it within the next 10 minutes. No, you can't have that. It's not there. What we lack are the tools for a lifestyle. And those tools can include motivation and accountability. And those can be some of the most powerful tools and the hardest tools to acquire. It all just depends, again, what choice do you want to make? We need to move away from marketing fads to sustainable habits. And like I just said, forming good habits will be the hardest part. And the hardest part in the past, we didn't have to form good habits because we didn't have choices or the time demands or the stress levels that we have today. You either ate at home or you didn't eat. Mom stayed at home and cooked the food. Dad worked. Kids went to school. They came home. It seems like a fairy tale, like it's Leave It to Beaver, but that is the way that it used to be. And because everything was home cooked, there was more control over ingredients that were in the food, and depending on what type of budget you had, the types of food you could eat. We just didn't have to form good habits because we had no choice. That was the lifestyle. But now culture is different and we have all sorts of choices. We have to learn health. That's where we are right now. And it seems ridiculous, but it's true. If you're really honest, we have to learn health because it's no longer forced on us by default. Families used to eat out at restaurants once, maybe twice a year, or maybe once a month or once a quarter for special occasions, for birthdays, for anniversaries, that sort of thing. Now, families are eating out 2 to 3 times a week due to necessity. A lot of it's time. We don't have time to cook. We don't have time to prep veggies. Or if we are cooking, it's processed food. It's not fresh. Why? Because mom's not getting off of work till late, dad's not getting off of work till late, and then after that we have to take Trinity and Darian to roller derby practice and soccer practice, and we have to take Mason to shooting practice, and whatever kind of practice you have, violin, piano, whatever it is you have, we got to get them there, right? And it's hard. I feel you. I've got the kids. I know. I've done the tango. I've done the dance. I've gained the weight. I've lost the weight. I've, stopped wearing my favorite pair of jeans because I couldn't get into them. I have been there and I know better, but it can change. And that's what I'm saying to you. I mean, and we all know people that are eating out 1 to 2 meals a day, if not every meal a day. And we wonder why are we gaining weight? Why are we not living the healthiest life that we could? Why do we not have the energy that we want to have? And it's because we need to just knock it off. We need to let go of the pride and feelings that stop us from making the choices we need to make. When people maybe make a comment to us, instead of being hurt by it, we should stop and think, my gosh, maybe now is the time. Because I tell you what, if I see you and I know you and I love you and I'm concerned for your health, and you're standing next to me and you're wheezing between every breath because your frame is carrying so much weight, it just can't bear it, it's hard for you to breathe, I am going to say something to you. If I've noticed that you are carrying an excessive amount of weight from year to year and it's only going up and it's not going down, I am going to say something to you. And it's not to be hurtful. And it's not the skinny kid saying something to the fat kid. It's because I know in my heart of hearts that you are not living the healthiest life that you could live. And so, we need to be in each other's camp. We need to support each other because there are some skinny people out there that aren't healthy. Skinny fat is also a thing. Just because they're a size 2, it doesn't mean their internal body composition is healthy. Someone out there could be a size 14 and is carrying more muscle mass and less body fat, and they're healthier than the size 2 who's carrying more body fat than muscle mass. That is a thing. You need to understand we are all in this together, and the only way that we win is together. We have to support each other. We have to be open-minded, but you also have to be intelligent about the information that you're taking in, because a lot of these health and marketing fads, they can be detrimental to your health. They will give you results. They will make you feel better about yourself because you got those results, but for how long? I forget the statistic. I don't have it in front of me. I'm going to look it up, but the majority of people who don't expand their toolbox for health and go for the fad or go for the quick loss, they will gain it back plus some. I can't tell you how many times I have somebody say, well, Desiree, how do I lose 10 pounds in a week? Well, you know what the answer is? You don't. You could, but I'm not going to tell you any way to do that. That is something I refuse to do. Now, if you want to do it the right way, you're not going to do it in a week, but I will help you do that. And that's just social responsibility. Yes, you can drop a lot of weight in a week by doing things the wrong way. And that's not what I want for you. I want you to learn how to do things the right way. As a nutrition coach, my goal every time is to work myself out of a job. I would love to have clients for a lifelong, but you don't need to be a lifelong client. Once you learn what to do, you can do it. You have to choose that you are going to do it. That's the biggest crux of the whole shebang. So every week I'm going to be coming to you with tools for your health and wellness toolbox, information to spark your thoughts, and hopefully a little motivation to help you get your tuchus in gear. We are going to have scripture in there. We are going to talk about things spiritually because, hey, we are KPOG, Power of God. That means I get to talk about God and not have to feel any way about it. So you can listen to me or not listen to me, but that's what you can expect from me. So we are going to be breaking things down. We're going to bring some science into it. Science is a big part of it. We don't want fad-based health and wellness. Sorry, we don't want fad-based. We want science-based. But there's also a lot of evidence in Scripture on how we can live the healthiest life that we were built to live by a divine creator. So it's all of those things together, working to find that balance. And, science changes. Things evolve. So if there's something that's said this year that's a little bit different next year, you can't just throw your arms up and be like, oh my gosh, well, hey, throw the baby out with the bathwater. No. As we learn more, as we find out more about the human body, intricacies and all of those sorts of things, things are going to change. But there are going to be some core base elements that won't change, that will stay the same, that are going to be the foundation for your health and wellness plan. And so we are going to start that out. We're going to talk about metabolism. We're going to talk about proteins, fats, and carbohydrates. We're going to talk about the pros and cons. We're going to talk about dietary fads. We're going to talk about some fun stuff from the Bible. We'll talk about Ezekiel bread and maybe the David diet and all these other diets that have been popularized. Is that a word? Popularized? I don't know. It's going to be a word today that have been made popular and or trendy. We are going to talk about all of those things because you need to understand. And the one thing I am going to tell you is it's going to require some work. It is going to require action on your part. So the first part is deciding that you're going to, and you're not going to get it all done at once. And you're not going to be perfect at it all at once. But it doesn't matter. The only thing that matters is you've chosen to embark on this journey. That's what matters. And so we're going to get there. and we're going to talk about stuff, and we're going to have fun doing it, hopefully. So don't worry, all shows are not going to be this serious. In fact, if they are, you have my permission, at least on Facebook, to give me a bunch of mad faces because you're just tired of the doom and gloom. I don't want to be doom and gloom. I want to speak life, but sometimes you got to cover. You got to. I don't know where I was going with that, but you've got to cover, just the serious stuff. Because if we don't get serious about it, that quote I read you earlier, that was from 1914. 1914. This is 2019, almost 2020. You see what happens when you don't get serious about the serious stuff. Because we have escalated, folks. We have escalated to epidemic and crisis proportions. And I'm not giving anything those titles. That's what we're calling it. And I mean, when you are the United States, the eagle, the powerhouse of the world, and you're living shorter lifespans than the rest of the developed world, there's something wrong. Why are we taking so many drugs? Why are we not taking care of our mental illness issues? Why are we not recognizing them? Why are people killing themselves? Why are we working ourselves to death? Why are we eating ourselves to death? You got to ask yourself those serious questions to find the solutions to get to the parts that change the tide. And so for my part of it, it's going to deal a lot with food, a little bit with exercise. But that's what this is all about. So as I leave you today, I want you to stop and think about your choices. You have the right to choose. You know if you are overweight, you can change that. If you don't want to change, cool. I mean, hey, if that's your choice, I've got nothing to say to you. I might feel a little heart hurt about it because I know that you may die younger than what you normally would have. I know that you are not as active with your kids or grandkids as you could be. I know that you're not traveling the way you want to. I know that you're experiencing more physical pain than you need to be. I know that your mental capacities are not as clear as they could be. I know emotionally, for the most part, you are probably not as happy as you could be. And maybe, the phrase fat and happy, it's not out there for no reason. So maybe there are some folk, and I say that, I don't mean it to be derogatory. It's a term, if I can be a little un-PC, but that's a thing too. So if you are totally happy with all of that, and you're considered to be overweight by social, gauges, then you keep on keeping on. Who am I to tell you that you are not happy? But if you are not happy, then you can change. And it's that simple. You can change. And so next week, we are going to jump into metabolism. My rant is pretty much over for today. So if you've stuck it out with me, I totally appreciate it. And, send me questions. Let me know what you want to hear about. I know the majority of folks want to hear about the quick fix. I am not going to share a quick fix with you. I am going to share a lifestyle for a lifetime of health with you. That's what we're going to do. So with that being said, you guys live blessed. Have a fantastic week, and I will catch you and metabolism next Monday.
Thanks for joining us for today's edition of Temple Building from the Inside Out, brought to you by the Hazel May Collaboration and Nutrition Coaching, helping you live your healthiest life yet. And remember, the thoughts and viewpoints of this program should not be taken as professional advice. Consult your physician for medical concerns.